Greetings, peace and blessings to you, to your family and loved ones. This is Nana Bakai, and we are going to continue our I Ching lesson for today and tomorrow and forever and ever, as long as you choose to use it. The I Ching is awesome. It's a wonderful, wonderful tool for connecting to your soul and getting the message from your soul about what's going on. Sometimes we disconnect. And I don't mean physically disconnect. I mean sometimes we just get so caught up in what's going on in our everyday life that we miss out on various different signals and in synchronicities that are there for us to enjoy, to engage in, to learn from, etc. Our biases, our prejudices, our racism, our bigotry, our egotisticalness, if there's ever such a word, egoism, narcissism, all these different human foibles can get in the way of our judgment and our ability to perceive what's really, really going on in a given situation. So, we use the oracle to help us to make that soul connection in a way that we are not able to always do. But it definitely, the soul connection is available to all of us, from spirit to physical, from physical to spirit. I want to talk today about the most important question that you can ever ask the oracle. This answer will follow you for the rest of your life, and you need not go back again and again and again and again to ask the same question. And that question is, Dear Honorable Ancestors of the I Ching Oracle, please comment on my most immediate incarnation objective. When you ask this question, it is like doing an astrology reading or a numerology reading, because once you get the answer, that sticks with you for the rest of your life. There will be variations on it, comings and goings on it. Learning and studying about it will take some time. And if you get one hexagram just standing there by itself, you may even be frightened of what it is. Like, wow, they gave me exhaustion. So in meditating on it and reading it over and over and beginning to understand why you have that hexagram, it will help you. One time I had a client, a student, who got the 6 hexagram straight up. When you say straight up, that means no changing lines. Well, 6 is conflict, and that was her incarnation objective. And so one day she was so disturbed by that, she went home after the class, and a few days later she called me and she said, you know what, I think I want to ask another question about my incarnation objective. And I said, well, what question would that be? And she said, well, what is the nature of the conflict? And I said, very good, because that helps to flesh out what the oracle is speaking about. It's 64 hexagrams. Lord knows there are more than 64 situations straight up this face. And then you multiply 64 times 64, now we're into 4,096 different variations on the theme. Because we have lines that change, lines that don't change, etc. All kinds of different possibilities that you can get. But even still, there still may be something that one individual needs to know that will help them to understand the situation, where another individual may not need to know that. And so in particular, when it comes to your incarnation objective, you read the reading and then you think about it. And then you ask, well, if you get 2 hexagrams, well, if one is conflict, what is the nature of the conflict that I must overcome in this incarnation? And if it turns into peace, what is the nature of the peace that I must acquire in this incarnation? Now you have 3 readings, which may be 6 hexagrams, as many as and as little as 3. But we definitely, when you're changing lines, you're going to have at least 4. Okay? So that's how you flesh it out so that it can apply to you and it can make some sense to you. And because it's about you and no one else, typically when you get it, you're going to start, your ego is going to start blocking you. It's going to block what it means. Your ego is going to say, no, that's not what, no, that ain't right. So a lot of times I tell people to come to me and let me work with them to help understand incarnation objective. The next and most important question is, and this is relative to the situation and can be asked at any time throughout your life cycle. What is the most immediate path I should take towards peace? Very important question. Being a peaceful individual on this planet in these times, but not only that, there are entities around you, energies around you that are attempting to create certain levels of frequency that are conflictual with your frequency. And so you want to know, what do you need to do? Now, it may tell you to pull out of that situation, okay? Especially if you're having some inner turmoil. You want to ask, what is the most immediate steps I should take towards peace? What is the most immediate path for me towards peace? Okay? What is the most immediate path? We won't use steps because then we're talking, you can take that path and you can break it down into steps. And then you can ask, what are my most immediate liabilities that I must work on and strengthen? And what are my most immediate assets that I can work on and strengthen as well? Because just because it's an asset doesn't mean you need to just put it over there on the table somewhere. So your most immediate liabilities and your most immediate assets. Now, why do I use the term most immediate? I use that term because it brings me to the present, okay? And it helps me to understand in the present moment. But it gives me a view into tomorrow, the next day, and so on. Typically, the oracle will kind of give you an insight into about 3 months. So you wouldn't ask that same question every day. You would ask about your assets and your liabilities and your path towards peace. 3 months. Give it 3 months to work its way out. And then if things shift and change, then you can go back and ask those same questions. And also, this is a question that you can ask every single day. For those of you who just want to throw them coins every day, you can ask, what should be my overall focus for this day? Now, this is a trick question, only because sometimes we can't see overall. We don't always see the impact of one tiny little situation that can affect the entire day, that may happen at 11:30 at night before the next day comes. That's the I Ching for you. So you can ask every day, what should be my focus for this day? And at the end of the day, you can ask, what did I accomplish this day? And then that will start you to having a conversation with the oracle. You must converse with the oracle. It is not about it's not a quick fix at all. I cannot stress that enough. You must have a conversation with them, or else it will become something that you would not really like to use. I mean, you just kind of cast it off to the side because like, it don't work, you know. So you must have a conversation. So every day when you get up, you ask the oracle after you do what are your morning rituals. You ask, what should I focus on today? And then you ask, what did I accomplish at the end of the day before you wrap it up? Okay? And this is a very good practice to get you used to getting oracles, to get you used to drawing the lines, to get you used to knowing yin from yang, and to get you used to knowing how to take a straight line into a broken line and how to take a broken line into a straight line. To get you used to reading the images and the judgments, to get you used to it. You know, it's a new exercise, and when you do it, it takes a little bit of time before it becomes automatic. And after a while, it'll become so automatic, you'll be able to tell what hexagram is coming as you get to that fourth line. You'll be able to tell, okay, it's either going to be this or it's going to be that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, take your time with it, practice with it. Use those questions that I mentioned earlier on in this video. Stop the video if you need to, write it down, pick it up again, but use those questions. That's for beginners. Later on, we're going to get into more deeper stuff with the oracle. But for beginners, you know, we can talk about that. And there's ways that you can intuit this, and then there are ways that you can sense it. And a lot of times when I throw the coins, and I'm asking about a serious situation, I just toss the coins, and then as I'm tossing them, I get sleepier and sleepier. And I'm like, okay. And finally, toward the end of the session, I fall asleep. So then I go and sleep on the readings. And when I wake up, believe it or not, they make more sense than they did before I fell asleep. So that's another tool that you can use, is to sleep on your readings. You know, stick them under your pillow. Say, oh boy, I didn't understand that at all. Somebody please help me out. Again, feel free to text, email me. I'm available for readings. I'm available for workshops. So you just let me know if you're interested. And we're going to wrap this up. This is lesson 2 on how, this is lesson 4, right? Part 2 of how to query the oracle. How do you ask them questions and get the answers that make sense? Okay? Thank you. Peace and blessings.